So, first we're going to talk about fear. So we all, I think, as we grow up, as we go through life, we have feared different things. We have been afraid of different things, and we don't know specifically where these fears come from. I know there were several things that I encountered as I was a young person, and I could not quite understand why I was afraid of these certain things. Like for me, it was the fear of public performance, and so I could not talk in public. I could not do any form of public speaking. I couldn't do anything where I felt like people were focused on me, and I did not know where that fear was rooted. And even though I had been in like a performing arts school, even though, you know, we go through the years of being in church where they put you up in front of the church and, you know, you're never supposed to be afraid of the people in the church, it terrified me and I did not know why. So I had to go through life, you know, to battle certain things to get to where I am today. And so, you know, it's surprising that a lot of people say, well, I'm surprised that you are able to, you know, you want to do a talk show, that you want to do these different things. And that is because I have moved beyond that. But I will share how I did that. And, you know, hopefully as we go through the evening, you guys can share some of the things that you have feared and how you've gotten over that. So I'll say, let me run down my Facebook really quick. Gregory, AJ, Michael, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Myra, Nelson, and Will, thank you for joining us. Those who are on IG, Justin, I see my uncle, I see Arlissa, my sister, Janice is on IG. I see a couple of people on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us as we jump right in. So tonight's topic is fear, specifically the fear of success. So fear number one is the unknown, fear of the unknown is a natural human instinct. So let's just get that straight right off the bat. It is a natural instinct to fear and to be a little skeptical and afraid of what is unknown. It bleeds over into our business mindset as we go through life and we start to develop. And so business, I say, is not just business as in having a business. It bleeds into our mindset of how we govern ourselves as adults in business practices, which is the workplace, how we deal with different relationships, not only in the workplace, but also in our personal lives. In fact, sometimes it can feel even scarier once you've had some level of objective success, because you start to feel like you now have something to lose. So it is natural for everyone to fear something. Now, we're not talking about phobias, and you know, phobias are those things that there's no real reason why you would be afraid of it. Phobias, well, it's all kind of psychologically rooted, but phobias are those things that you can't quite understand why you would be afraid of something. However, when we talk about as it relates to success, sometimes things become a little more scarier when it comes to success after you've had a little bit of success, because you become afraid to lose it. So success, what a beautiful complex term. Most of the people want it. I'm sure we all want success in some facet, you know, in some way, shape, or form. We all want some form of success, and that's why we crave it. But not everybody can attain it. Success comes with the tremendous benefits and opportunities. Success also comes with a lot of hard work. Before one earns it, one must go through a challenging journey. The journey to success begins the moment someone becomes aware of their desire for success. This can happen at any age. You just need to have that breakthrough. You need to have that subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind will take care of the rest. You need to have the will to attain a level of success that you desire. There's different ways to do that. So as we go further, we're going to talk about planning. Planning is a big part of success, as we know. You know, I think it's very much common sense that planning would be a part of success. But I think a lot of times when we reach for certain goals, we forget to write down the plan. So the fear of failure Many of you, I'm sure, have heard about it. You must have heard about it at least once or twice in your lifetime. Some of you might already be very familiar with it. So familiar that you don't want to hear about it again, but this show is just about that. It is the fear of failure, and it's about the exact opposite, which is the fear of success. So, when I think about the fear of success, I couldn't understand, I couldn't fathom why somebody would really be afraid of success. Good evening, Nelson. Thank you so much for jumping on. I see you there. Susie Waver, thank you for jumping on. So, the fear of success is one of those things that I just said I couldn't understand why anybody would really be afraid to succeed. But I found that it's not really that you're afraid to succeed. It's more of you're afraid to fail. And so as we look at the various things that we've gone through in our lives and we evaluate the fears that we had, and so I go back to myself and I said, as a child, I could not do certain things. I could not speak in public, even though I was a very talkative child. So many of you probably could imagine that now, seeing me, how much I talk. I was the same way as a child, but when it came to speaking in front of people, I just could not do it. And I couldn't understand what it was, and it just boggled my mind. What is it about public speaking that I am not able to handle, that it used to break me down? One of the things it was the fear of failing. So it was really thinking, like when I had to stand up in church and do that recitation, it was the fear of forgetting the words that made me break down to the point where I couldn't do it at all. So that was a psychological thing that I had to learn to overcome. And so for me, it was I had to make it no longer about remembering what I studied, remembering what I had memorized, but I really had to know it so that I talked about it from an innate point as opposed to a point of memorization. Because memorization is just regurgitating what you've learned. But when you've made it a part of you, you're able to carry it forth in many different facets. So when I learned to kind of hold small seminars and things, the key for me was to make sure that I knew what I was talking about unequivocally. I could not have any wavering in that information, because any wavering, any question that drew me off task would then bring in the nervousness. So one thing that I did was I made sure I knew what I was going to talk about. I knew the subject through and through, and that kind of helped me as I moved along. So the fear of success, what is it and how does it manifest? For most people, the fear of success is almost always unconscious. Most of us accept it as part of who we are. We're scared little beings which are afraid to step out of our comfort zone. In fact, it's not really even our fault. We are conditioned to be afraid of success. And like I said, by afraid of success, you have to think afraid of failure. So it's not so much that you're afraid to succeed, to win, to gain, to get to where you're going. You're afraid of not getting there. And in the journey that it's going to take, you're afraid to travel that type of journey. So unless we've had mentors or random life situations which lead us to success, we are doomed to live and bear a life with this fear. The worst part is that we don't even realize it, and that it keeps us stuck in a deep comfort zone. As mentioned earlier, we are conditioned to associate success with certain feelings, meanings, and perspectives. Here are the most common wrong beliefs about success that, of course, could lead to someone's fear of success. So here are 5 things that success, that when we hear success, subconsciously and sometimes consciously, we attribute one to the other. We put them together. We say success involves lots and lots of risks, which many people are not willing to take. Risk is a big thing. That's one of those things, especially in business. We are taught to minimize our risks. But if we always minimize our risk and we don't do things because of the risks, oftentimes we will not reach the level of success that we are supposed to have. Number 2, success involves sacrifice, which again, most people don't accept very easily. Sacrifice is one of those things that we just have to constantly give unto, if we are wanting to reach a level of success that we believe that we're supposed to have. Now, some people believe that they're just supposed to live an ordinary life, that there's nothing, they're not trying to gain a large amount of success or attain great goals in their life. Some people don't even have lofty goals. I say, for me, I was a person who would, for a long time, I did not have very lofty goals, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of thought about the life that I want to live. I've thought about the way that I want to live. I've thought about the businesses that I want to have. And so in order to do that, I've had to give a lot of my personal time, give a lot of my money towards it, and those things in the long run equal success. The other thing I've had to give was a lot of sacrificing of time to be able to build and think about the things that I want to have, to create those plans to get to where I'm trying to go. So the third thing is success involves disappointment, which for most people, that's something that they fear the most. They fear the disappointments because they don't want to be seen as failures. So oftentimes, in order to not be seen as a failure or to be viewed as a failure, we just won't do. So I'll say, like for me, because I love to use myself as an example, for a lot of things, I'll say I remember one thing. My dad tried to put me in this jazz band when I was young, because I used to play the piano a little bit. And so he took me to play with this band, and they wanted to kind of cultivate me and let me become their musician, their pianist. But I was so afraid of not being good enough that I decided not to do it. And I think, as good of a rearing as my parents gave me, I think for a lot of things, if I had been a little more open and forthcoming about the things that terrified me, they would have been able to talk me through them at a much younger age. But because I stayed very closed about those things, I didn't get over them until I got a little older, until I was able to kind of heal those things myself, and other people whom I talked to about certain things, they helped me heal and work through them as well. So again, the other thing is disappointment. Fourth, success involves completion, which most people avoid the most. Most people are unable to see things from beginning to end. We have great ideas. We know how to create a plan, but we are not fastidious enough to see something from the beginning to an end. In order to reach success, you have to always see your plan from beginning to end. Now, the key is that sometimes with success, or I'll say with a plan, you don't always... the end that you set is not always the true end of the plan. Sometimes in the midst of planning, you have to add to your plan, which may push out your timeline a little bit. You'll constantly add to it because you'll see things that you want to add onto it, see greater things that, or see things that will benefit you greatly in the end. So you add that to it, but again, it's going to take more time. It's going to take more sacrifice. It's going to take more diligence. So you're constantly adding to the plan. So the end time is never really the end. It keeps going. So, but you have to be willing to try to reach for the completion of your plan. Number 5, success involves hard work, which a lot of people tend to be uncomfortable with. I'll just say this: if you're not willing to work on your plan, and now we're talking about personal success. So many of us that are on, we are entrepreneurs, and we're entrepreneurs, we have businesses, we may even just be managers for somebody else, but these are keys that we can put into place to kind of help ourselves as well as our teams reach levels of success. The last thing that we talk about is hard work. Success takes a lot of hard work. Few things in life come very easy. Some people find success very easily, but I would say easy success is limited success. it is that success that comes to you very easily, but it can also be taken from you very easily, because if you have not put any time, effort, and diligence into reaching a certain point, then it can be taken away so easily, and you will have no plan to keep it. You'll have no way of holding on to it because you didn't put anything to it. That's just like I used to tell students that I had in beauty school the same thing. Everybody wants to be an overnight success, but an overnight success is a fly-by-night success. Everybody that, or most people that put their time, their hard work, their study, their sacrificing of family, and also, just many other things that we sacrifice when we go into school, when you put that stuff into your plan and you hold fast to your plan, you're able to be very diligent in succeeding and getting to the level of success that you placed in your mind, opposed to trying to reach it overnight, because easy come, easy go. That goes with money, that goes with success, that can be extended to a lot of things. So you want to be fastidious and diligent as you try to reach levels of success, and remember that it is going to take hard work, and be willing to put in the work. So these are all possible causes that someone may fear success. These are just small beliefs that can have disastrous impacts on an individual's performance and progress. In fact, you can recognize yourself while reading through this that I'd suggest taking advantage of the powerful strategies that follow. So I'm going to kind of go through that, because as I put this together, I pulled some things from a couple of different websites, and I thought that they were really good, and I wanted to give you great points to creating plans for success, and hopefully that you'll be able to use this to kind of reach your goals. So these things will help you overcome the fear of success that you have in your mind, some in a matter of days depending on how large or small your goal is, and then some may be weeks and some may be years. I'll say for me, these are a lot of things that I'm putting into play myself as I embark on this new journey that I have in my salon career. So like I mentioned, I've moved, but in addition to just moving, I've taken on a role at the salon. I need to continue to build my personal brand. So those are the level of success that I'm trying to reach, and I have to put these things into play in order to get there. So the first thing that you would do in order to overcome a fear of success would be to decide what success means to you. Now that is so important, because for everybody, success is very, very different. For some people, they say, well, hey, if I'm able to make enough money to pay my rent and to eat some food, I'm fine. Some people say, well, that's not enough. I need to be able to pay my rent, eat my food, and pay for my car. For some people, that's not enough. They need to be able to eat, they need to pay their rent, they need to have their car, they need to also have a brick and mortar business. So for everybody, success can be very, very different. Success is often not just a physical, tangible thing. For some people, success goes beyond that, and it is just a feeling. They're trying to get to a feeling of success where they are happy. And sometimes that does not involve the assertion of physical or monetary things or material things. So, number one, we decide what success means to you. Success is a very subjective term. For many individuals, success might mean money, power, or fame. For others, being caring, loving, and an involved parent means ultimate success. So remember, I distinguish between the two. For some people, success involves purely the material, the monetary, and the physical. For others, success is more on the emotional side. Here's one more. For some, success means contributing to the well-being of others. So you could be a business owner and you feel that you're running a business and you're doing well, but you're not really successful because you're not able to impart in people. But once you have someone that you can pour into, that you can impart into, then you feel like your job is really done, that you've reached the pinnacle of success because you have everything else, but now you feel like you're able to pay it forward, like you're able to pass it on. So try not to forget everything you know about success, but clear your mind and take a piece of paper. Imagine that you're sitting in a wheelchair, 95 years old, and it's the last days of your life. What would you regret if you haven't accomplished it in life? Those are the things where you can start. Start from this particular point and give success in a unique meaning. It must be your own meaning, something that drives and inspires you. It has to drive and inspire you because, remember, success is individual. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So your meaning of success can be very different from the person next to you, very different from the person next to them. So number 2, visualize your success and list your particular outcomes. After you found out what success looks like to you, you need to get a little closer view of it. You can do so by visualizing how your life looks the moment you've achieved what you want. This takes a bit of imagination and a bit of focus. This is not just useless exercise, but our thoughts shift our reality. So oftentimes, that's what I was saying earlier about the planning. When we put those things down on paper, we're able to visualize them. We're able to put thought to paper, and we're able to manifest it from the paper because we have it right in front of us. It's no longer an abstract thought, but it is something that we put down. And the things that we put down on paper, we tend to commit ourselves to a little further, thereby working out those plans and reaching for those goals. So after you've done visualizing and you see what your success looks like, take the paper and write down the outcomes of your success. Start with the positive ones and then list the negative ones. The latter ones are the main causes of your fears of success. Analyze them and try to minimize their effects. You do that by focusing on the benefits, which are more numerous. You build walls and barriers when you give into, You build walls and barriers when you give into your mind. Fear nothing and take control of who you are and who you are meant to be. That is a quote by Joel Brown, which I thought was really insightful. Because remember, like I said earlier, for me, my fear of success had to do with my thoughts about not being able to carry out or to do the things that I was setting out to do. So my mind was building that barrier, and it told me that you're not able to do this. So not even was I not able to speak it, I had that emotional breakdown whenever I tried to do it because my mind was fighting against me. But had I known to really put those things down on paper and be able to visualize them and manifest them from the sheet, things might have been a little bit different. So number 3, you want to decide and plan your long-term goal. Plan your path to success. Like I said, put the plan down on paper. The quicker you put things down on paper, the easier it is to work them through. When you have a long-term goal that leads to your success, you can break it down. The best way to do is to approach the goal and split it into smaller, more actionable phases or steps. So one of the things, so you may say, like for many of us who are on, we may be interested in having our own salon at one point. So our goal is to have a salon. But how do we get there? We need to maybe save money. We need to find investors. We may need to secure a bank loan. So then those are things that we would put under having the salon. But then we need to break that down a little further. How are we going to save money? We can say, well, for the next 12 months, every week I'm going to put $500 in a bank account towards this savings. Not only that, I'm going to secure investors. So that means I'm going to go out and solicit. I'm going to talk to all my friends. I'm going to talk to my church members. I'm going to talk to clients who may have that kind of money, who also believe in me. to see if they would be willing to invest in my business. Number 3, we are going to go to the bank. So we're going to make sure that we have a great business plan. We're going to go do our presentation to the bank and let them know that we've done our due diligence in doing all the research, the market research, and everything that we needed to do to create this business plan so that they can possibly give us money. So now we have all those, we have little small action items to reach our steps in getting the salon. And again, our ultimate goal was to get the salon. So you see how in those steps, those are small action items that are easier to accomplish opposed to just saying, I want to have a salon. I want to have a business. I want to have a restaurant. I want to have a cleaners. I want to have a laundromat. We have to have steps into how we're going to get to that point. So when we decide our long-term goal, we want to break it down into small actionable steps. You should start with the big goal, decide an exact accomplished date. That's important because if you apply a date to it, that gives you a timeline. You only have until this date to reach it, and that will keep you on track. Let's see. Create a few phases of action. So as in the example that I gave, the phases of the action would be to save the money, to seek the investors, to create the business plan to present to the bank. You should start again with the big goal, have the accomplished dates, break it down into smaller phases. Take them each separately and act on them until you've completed it. This way you won't be overwhelmed with how big the project is, and you'll only have to worry about the present task. By the way, an overwhelming state often leads to a fear of failure and a fear of success. So the overwhelming state could be that final project or that final goal that you're trying to reach. Just saying, oh my, I want to have a salon with 5 stations and, you know, all these things with a massage room and a wax room and all these things. That can be really overwhelming for a lot of people because it's like, oh my goodness, where do I begin? Even if you're not in the salon industry, you're an entrepreneur. Say that you desire to become a director for a particular company. One of the great companies in our area is Deloitte. So if you want to be, say, a director of human resources at Deloitte, how are you going to get to that position? How do you get yourself there? So you may say, well, you know what, I don't have a degree, but I desire to be the director. So what do I need to do to get to that point? I may need to re-enroll in school. Well, it may have been many years since I was in school. I may need to take a few courses before I can re-enroll so that I can get a GPA going, you know, in order to get accepted into a good school. And then I need to take those courses so that I can graduate with a bachelor's degree. Then I may need to go back to school and get a master's degree so that I'll really be qualified to take on this position. Those are small actionable steps that help you get to the big goal. It makes the big goal not look so large when you're able to accomplish it in small pieces. Number 4, develop a list of possible outcomes and setbacks. I think this is so important. In order to be strong, by the time problems arrive, you should prepare your actions and responses. We're smart beings, and we can predict possible negative outcomes and setbacks. We can also predict quite a few challenges that we're about to face. Again, take a piece of paper and start your brainstorming. Put down all the challenges and setbacks and problems that might occur during your journey. After you have this list, start solving each of them before they arrive. Now, I thought this was really important, and it's something that we could spread or apply to a lot of things in our lives, is think about the outcomes. So we say we want to get, say, a new car. Not only do we need to save our money for our down payment before we can get our new car, we may need to do some credit cleanup. So those are like the small actionable steps. While we're saving money, we're going to clean up our credit so that we can apply for a loan to get this car. But in the process, we want a luxury car, right? Follow me. So we want this luxury car, right? And so luxury cars involve a lot of maintenance. And so one of the things that we have to think about is, will we be able to afford the maintenance? Those are one of the things that I think the text is talking about when it's talking about the possible outcomes and setbacks, things that could set you back is the maintenance. So you want to make sure, how am I going to accomplish that? But then in saving my money, I may fall into a setback of, I don't know, a bill might come that's unexpected. What do we need to do? We need to have a little savings on the side for that. So we're going to list all these possible things that can go wrong, but then come back with solutions for them so that if they possibly do happen, we'll know how to handle it. For those of us who are in the salon industry, one of the big things with having a business is the fear that, everyone will leave our business. So you can have a salon, right? And say your rent is $2,000 a month, but you're only one person. And you say, well, I know that if I charge everybody $200 a week and I have 4 people in the salon, that's $800 a week. That's, what's that? $3,200 a month just from these 4 people. And $3,200, my rent is $2,000. That leaves me with $1,200, but a pipe bursts in my salon. And so now I have to come out with extra money for that. Or I make a decision in the salon and half of my team leaves. So no longer am I bringing in $3,200 a month. Now I'm only bringing in $1,600 a month from my 2 people that are working with me. And my rent is $2,000. I'm at a deficit of $400 already. What am I going to do? Those are the things that you have to kind of write down so that you can solve them before the time comes and you'll be prepared. Doing that puts you ahead of the game so that when things happen, you can always go back to your sheet and say, okay, I did come up with a plan for this particular thing. How can I work this out? So the last thing, number 5, enjoy the journey. Instead of obsessing over the end result, enjoy the process. The pursuit of success isn't just about the end result. It's about enjoying the journey. It's not like, well, I'll hate 10 years of my life in order to be successful so that I can be happy. No, that's not it. The journey is what matters. In order to achieve success that also fulfills you, you must do what you love to do and stop thinking about the materialistic things and the materialistic luxuries. Time is all we have. Don't waste it doing something that you don't enjoy. To that, I would say, some people, I know a lot of people that have taken on careers that they don't particularly enjoy, in order to feel like they have successful lives, because through those careers they're able to buy themselves the things that they want or the things that they like in life. I would say that may not be the best thing, because remember, you don't want to spend your life doing something you don't enjoy. Being successful is also being happy. You want to be happy in the things that you're doing. You want to be happy on a daily basis. When I look at my life, I say, am I successful? I believe that I'm successful to a point. I'm not at the pinnacle of success where I want to be, because I'm not fully happy and comfortable with the way my career is going, which I think is a good thing, because it's one of those things that kind of keeps you going. It keeps me with a plan in mind. What am I going to do next to be able to bring in additional income, to be able to add to the business that I have? A lot of times for me, when I'm able to make money, the great thing is I don't mind reinvesting it back into myself or reinvesting it into the businesses that I have established. That is one of the things that you have to learn how to do as an entrepreneur, is constantly reinvesting yourself. You can never get settled with where you are, because then that means eventually you're just going to waste away. Just like having that plan, how you have to constantly, you may have to add to the plan, which will push out your timeline. If you constantly pour into yourself and reinvest in your success, it will greater benefit you in the long run and also magnify your success in the long run. So the conclusion as we close our topic out tonight: success is surely not an easy goal, but it's far away from an impossible goal. Everyone can attain his or her own kind of success. You just need to figure out, number one, what it is, be aware of the steps that you have to go through to conquer any fears that you have, number two, and take consistent action until the accomplishment of your goals have been reached. So again, I'm just going to give you the highlights of the 5 points of how to overcome a fear of success. You, number one, need to decide what success means to you. Number two, you need to visualize your success and your outcomes from that. Number three, decide and plan your long-term path to success. Create a plan. Number four, develop a list of possible outcomes and setbacks that could happen prior to them happening. Do not wait until you face challenges. Try to predict the challenges before you get there. And I think that most people, when we do things that are within our industry, we kind of know what our pitfalls may be. So you're able to predict those and you're able to come up with plans of how to overcome them before they actually happen. And number five,